welcome back, everyone. We're going to move forward here, and next, Director Sasky, you have nothing? Okay, we're going to move over to CAO Laggett, and your turn to go.
Thank you, Your Worship. Let me just get the agenda back up here. Okay, so, yeah, next item on the, there we go. Next item on the list is a letter I've received from Marianne King, and she's the police advisor for the National Police Federation. And I won't read out the entire letter. The gist of it is, on page 81 of your agenda, they've done up a pre-scripted email or letter they're asking us to endorse and sign and send off to the Premier's office. So really that's the gist of this request. So if council would like to see the continuation of the RCMP, this letter is sort of in a standardized format that they're encouraging other municipalities to send out. You'll note some of the things down below in the bullet point forms and in italics are a lot of the stuff we've just discussed with our detachment commander here. So if council's in favor of adding our voice to that initiative, then endorse this letter and we'll draft up a copy that you can sign off on.
Okay, go ahead.
So I can appreciate the work that they've done. However, I don't think us signing or not signing it has anything to do with us endorsing or supporting or not wanting police force. This, to be clear to anybody, this federation is the union that represents. They're not a policing group. They have no authority to give policing recommendations. They are a union. As a municipality, I don't think we would sign our letter or put our logo and sign our name to the nurses union when there's nurse negotiations. We've never done it for teachers during teacher negotiations. And for that reason, I don't want to see us adding our logo to this one as well. That's my stance.
Okay, Councillor Barrett.
Thank you, Worship. I'll echo that. We have remained neutral on this subject right from the start, and I think that I would continue to remain neutral.
Okay, you'll be next, Councillor Riddick, and then Councillor Lenko.
So while I respect both of my esteemed colleagues' perspectives, I think that remaining neutral is not an option for us. We have said now, as a council, we did not come up with a position, but I think it's become evident by participating in both the National Police Federation, but also the presentations that were done by the province, as well as the presentations that were done by Alberta municipalities and RMA. Both provincial associations have come out categorically against the establishment of a provincial police force. As a council, we haven't come out with a position. So while I appreciate that, Councillor Warwa's point of view that we not necessarily use the entirety of the content here, some of these facts are similar to the things that we were talking about. So if we can potentially make our position known, I think it's been clear as time has gone along that I believe that we're of one mind, that we disagree with the establishment of a police force the way that is proposed by the province at this point. Won't serve us, particularly given some of the things that we still need to have, which is national database for a variety of different purposes, including some of the things that they brought here today, talking about the crime reduction units that they have with particular task force, which rely on a larger network that we just couldn't supply with the proposed model. So I guess my question would be twofold. Are we in favor of writing a letter? And perhaps the content might be a little bit different. And secondly, are we of one mind? I guess maybe that would be the first question.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lenko.
Yeah, I think we're at a position where we certainly support the RCMP, and we're not in favor, or I'm not anyway, of a provincial police force. I think endorsing this letter was a little bit, agreeing with Councillor Warawa, is a little bit being union related, but it doesn't mean we don't support, and I think we've supported other municipalities that have gone against the provincial police force. And that's where I think we should support, sticking with Alberta municipalities and the RMA, and that's where I think we should put our teeth behind, even though in the end, it's supporting this group as well. So that's my take.
Councillor Curtis.
Yeah, I think I'll echo what Councillor Lemko said. I'm a little leery of signing on to something that, an organization that is biased one way from the beginning. We all as municipalities went in, took a look at it, and we got to where we got to by looking at all sides of it, where, they're coming in, cut off right at the start, right? That's where we're going. So I'd be leery of that. But obviously, yeah, we support the RCMP, and yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. Bullock.
Like most of everybody else, I agree. I support the RCMP, and yeah, this being a unit, I probably wouldn't want to sign on to this letter and put it out there. So that's my position.
Okay, so can we agree that we're almost past the idea that does anybody here want a provincial police force? Is there anybody that wants to keep moving in that direction, losing those federal dollars that come with it? And no matter what, I went to both presentations and they were both hokey dokey. And the provincial one, you couldn't ask any political questions, and at the union one, it was just bashing everything, and they didn't bring up how much more money it was costing everybody. So one way or the other, we're going to take a stand, because we're going to go back to the new Solicitor General and Minister of Justice, and we're going to tell him if they're going to spend any more money, let's put it in some jails. But I think I agree with everybody will agree with me up to maybe Councillor Warwa, and I want to know what your thoughts are. Do you still want to chime in on whether we should be moving ahead as a province with a provincial police force?
Sure. So I'm not on the same stance, but I'm also not in the stance of we should move out to having a provincial police force. Because it's not true that actually federally we wouldn't get funds, because federally there is reserve funds that have to go towards policing. It just wouldn't go towards RCMP. Because let's be clear, there's many provinces that actually don't have provincial policing. So I promise you Ontario doesn't get $0 from the federal government towards policing, but they don't have the RCMP. So that's not actually accurate. However, the model as they've presented it from the province doesn't actually make sense. So at this point right now, I don't think they're in the position to move to a provincial police force. So I'd be fine supporting the idea of saying, at this time, we don't think you guys are prepared to move forward in provincial police force, as long as we're doing it from us, or we're doing it supporting a body like the FCMs or the AUMAs or the RMA type of group versus this group.
So Alberta municipalities' take on this was, and I asked during the couple of sessions that I was in on this, is that they couldn't find in a policing grant going to Quebec or Ontario. Obviously, there is some funding going their direction someplace, but they couldn't find it in a direct grant to policing.
Yeah.
But I think that the majority of us here now are, Premier Kenney was trying to bring Canada, trying to bring them to understand that we opt out of pensions, opt out of RCMP. It's going to cost more money to the rest of Canada. But in my opinion, I do believe that we all looked at the scenarios and the cost, and it doesn't make sense. It really, for the province to keep moving forward. So I think that we can write a letter on our own to the province, and the letter should state that we feel that they shouldn't spend any more time or energy on this, and that we are not happy at all with, and we'll put it in the wording, when it comes to the justice system and the way that criminals are walking around today with high on meth with guns. And we're going to start that advocacy again, and Councillor Warwa and you and myself are probably going to try to get another appointment with the new minister, and we're going to start revving it up again.
And I think it's very important we do that. If everybody's watched what's just happened, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up. If we've seen what's just happened in BC, because the province can say that they can't direct. There's certain things they can and can't direct, but there is stuff that is in their wheelhouse. Recommendations from Crown prosecutors to hold, I understand people have a right to bail, but they also have the ability to make recommendations. If those recommendations for being held without bail aren't being made, that's a problem. We've just watched the province of BC passed their own regulations that have made it so that they're not gonna charge people with trafficking of certain types. So there is a provincial component. So yes, I don't think we should lose that at all, and I'm totally fine with us writing that just outside of the union.
Okay, one more comment, Councillor Barry.
Yes, thank you. My stance of being neutral is on whether or not we're RCMP or provincial police. I definitely support that we should be lobbying for them to spend more money on the things that we need. And so the latter part of your whole discussion, I agree completely. I'm not nearly as concerned about trying to emphasize, don't spend it on this. I just want them to take money and spend it on the appropriate aspect.
Okay, so we'll get, you're probably gonna ask me how you want this, but go ahead.
I was just gonna say, is staff to take it as direction that we'll bring you a letter back to the next meeting, your worship?
Sure, and we're not gonna endorse this one at all, okay, so we don't need a copy of that or anything like that. Okay,
Very good.
thank you all. Next is, draft council procedure bylaw. Yeah,
So this one, I'll start with the background, your worship. So every 4 years, the council procedural bylaw is reviewed by the council for their term. This review keeps the procedural bylaw current and relevant for each term. After holding a bylaw workshop on May 12th, 2022, the council and the legislative coordinator, with the council and the legislative coordinator, the proposed changes to bylaw 13-2019 were drafted. The majority of those changes are highlighted in yellow on the document. The changes, we went to the step of itemizing them all. I won't go through them, each one here in detail. And I'll skip to page 84 of the agenda. The recommended options. This draft bylaw has been reviewed by senior management and is ready for council review. Options for council at this time are the following. Number one, refer the draft bylaw to the June 21st Legislative Committee meeting, allowing council 2 weeks for review and an opportunity to discuss. Refer the draft bylaw to the June 13th council meeting, so our next one next week, allowing 5 days to review. Any changes would be made at the council meeting prior to adopting. Or number three, refer it back to administration for changes and recommend an alternate meeting date if you feel anything else is warranted in this bylaw.
okay, so the highlights in yellow,
Or everything that was changed.
okay, who wants to start the discussion? Anybody? Councillor Barry?
Thank you, Your Worship. Going through from our workshop, I don't see any problems with this one as right now, so I'm prepared to support it.
Very good, thank you.
Anybody else? Councillor Lemko?
Yes, after looking through it, the changes are subtle and don't affect really the operation. So I'm proposed to support as changed.
Councillor Curtis? Okay, seeing no other hands in the air, go, we got one more, here we go.
So if we're choosing an option, or are you recommending an option? Because I would say based on what I saw, option 2 would be the right way to proceed.
I was just about to say the same thing, Councillor Rick. Thank you. Staff will take it as direction for option 2, and we'll bring this back to the next regular council meeting.
I'm the one that gets to say that, so.
Okay.
I'm based on her opinion, so. We're moving forward, she's not deputy mayor yet, so.
Very good.
She may be president of FCM, but
Duly noted.
I think council will be fine with option 2.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Your Worship. I apologize. When I do it like this.
Okay, moving right along. What? Is it mine now? Okay, so we had just on another thing, CAO Leggett, did you receive the email Brownlee regarding the golf tournament?
If I have, I haven't read it yet, your worship.
And it's regarding, County of Lamont Golf Tournament in Mundare. Have you seen that?
The Mayor Reeves one?
Yeah.
I think those are two different ones, aren't they? Or-
Well, it came through from Brownlee,
Yeah, they
and
got
then
one.
you were CC'd on it. I won't be able to, so I just thought if somebody else, or if you wanted to go.
This- oh,
Okay,
is it a ladies' golf one or a different one? You probably didn't get the ladies' golf. Sorry.
there you go, assuming again.
Maybe you did.
Okay, so, well, let's just move forward here on the agenda, and then it just kind of, I was gonna ask the CAO. So, it's mine now. This is, from the town of Lamont. The town of Lamont would like to invite you to participate in their parade. The parade will be held on, Saturday, July the 9th at 9 o'clock, and I was wondering if we shouldn't contact the chamber. I haven't seen the chamber take their float out. We used to go to all the communities around here. Go ahead, Councilor Bullock, as the,
Yeah, there's plans about the float getting fixed up a bit and going out, so.
okay, then, so, would you take this to the chamber? And, maybe get back, to their CAO? What the thoughts of the chamber are. Myself personally, I know I won't be able to go, and if anybody else wants to go along with the chamber, that'd be fine. I know they're asking the town, or council, but anybody'd like to go. But I know over the years that the chamber used to take their ag float out there all the time, in Mundare and, Vermilion, and so, but, we'll just hold back on a response until you can get something for us. Thank you, Counselor. So the next up, we have municipalities looking for, they're reaching out to the Utilities Commission regarding increases in fees, and they're looking for us to maybe join on their, jump on their bandwagon here and write a letter to the Utilities Commission. Any thoughts on it? Okay. They'll just be receive and file when they get to the council meeting, I guess. Next up, we have a letter from, to Minister Shandro. Minister Shandro, Tollfield Council respectfully implores you to reconsider the movement to the provincial police force. And this is not the first one, that we've seen. And again, so we're gonna go ahead and draft our own letter and with our concerns on that. Okay. I have one, I can do that, when we're having a bite to eat. I don't have to do that right now. Okay, so we're at round table now. Councillor Barry will start us.
Thank you, Your Worship. I couldn't find my notes right now, so I'll wing it. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Jameson for the good job he did on the proclamation and the postings for Rural Health Week. Excuse me. I think that went over very well, and the committee ordered up and took lunch to the family clinic, and it was very well accepted. On the second note, June 24th, 25th, 26th will be Lakeland Cup for soccer. It'll be U13s and U17s, and they're expecting around 800 participants and family members to come into town. And some of the businesses are already coming towards their support for that weekend, and I think that should be a very, very good weekend of soccer. And the other thing that I have is the Pasanka Days, which are going to be July 1st to 3rd. They have contacted me to see if, once again, as we have in the past and as I did last year, bring the Farmall A tractor and a small trailer exhibit down to their Pioneer Day to be on display. And I'm prepared to correspond back to them and say yes, that I could probably do that if council doesn't have a problem with us taking the museum display down there. The other question they did have, though, was whether or not one of the antique cars would be available, because Jerry Wild has in the past brought his car down there. But I'm not certain just where the status is on that. That's not something that I can respond back to.
We own the cars, they're insured and registered, and there are 5 drivers from the Iron Runners that are eligible to and authorized to drive it on outside of the museum grounds.
So who would I direct them to see if one or so of those cars are available for Pasanka Days festival?
There are cars. Maybe Director Rowe could give you the list of the people who are allowed to drive them. You're on the list. And if we want, if you feel that you would want to get another car down there, you can make that work.
I can't drive the tractor and the car at the same time.
But here's the thing. He gives you a list. I bet you know everybody on the list.
I would likely know that. If you could provide the list to me, then I can provide them with a contact, or I can try and set something up.
And
Okay.
have you had the tractor started this year already?
Yes, I have, actually. I was using it to haul water out to water the pumpkins and sunflowers, because I'd planted them in dust. And we haven't been getting sufficient rain, so I was actually spent a day hauling a few trips of water out there using the small trailer and the farm all day. And so hopefully they'll be coming up. And on that note, yes, the corn is struggling to find moisture in the ground and germinate. If we could get just a little bit more rain, I think it's coming along fairly nicely if we could just get it to germinate. It's extremely dry out there. But maybe this week yet.
Couple more days, it might rain.
Might. Anyway, that's it. Fine.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bullock.
Well, for me, a couple of things that came up. So I have been asked about the recycling roundup, so I just directed them to the town website, and it's happening, June 18th. So from 11 till 3 p.m. just so everybody get out to the recycling roundup. Bring your recycling in. Take advantage of it. So it's a very good program. We're lucky to have a recycling program like we do in this town. Very fortunate compared to a lot of other communities. Another thing, comment on about the corn maze over there. So Councillor Barry planted in the dust. His bins are gonna bust come fall. So he'll be good there, I'm sure. Another thing that came up, had someone come visit me out at the park on the weekend and brought up the 55 plus again, how unfairly treated he feels it's been about the taxes that they pay in that 55 plus, and he says he's not getting services. Why do they pay their taxes and they're not getting services from us? So that's come up. So for myself, maybe I'd like to get a little more information on that more, so just to educate myself even more about what's going on there. I'd like to bring him back somewhat of an answer down the road here.
Oh, I thought we did answer you on that. Like, they're asking us that we'd have to take over their infrastructure, and we didn't okay any of it. Again, it's. I mean, I've had these conversations. We all have, and when they purchased that type of a condo, a Bearland Condo Association, we weren't involved in any of it. We would never have approved anything in there that they did. So I know it seems like a tough thing to listen. I mean, we've tried to, but if we take on infrastructure only when we approve the engineering on it, only when the roads are wide enough for our equipment, these things that we would never ever allow any construction like that, but under a special circumstance that they went to a Bearland Condo Association, the decisions were all made by them. So for the services they want, we have to take over responsibility for their infrastructure, which we never engineered and never approved of. That is the biggest problem. So you want to bring it to council, that would council be willing to take this on? Is that where you'd like to go, or, because that's the only other way. It's either yes or no to that. And you'd like to see that on an agenda soon, or?
I would like to educate myself on it more. That's what I'd like to, because he's coming here, I'm hearing different stories, don't know what's true and what isn't. So he's saying that previous council, some people that he's talked to said that it would be a good idea that the town took it on, but that's what was told to me.
I've been on a few councils since that place opened, and I don't remember that conversation. I remember Director LaFave has been very helpful on how that works over there, and he's brought us information, at least the last two councils, on why we can't and why we shouldn't. And I know that we've helped them as much as we can, put the garbage at the end of the road. We've picking up the cost of the street lights, not the power that's going in there. But to take that responsibility on, to own that infrastructure, that is what the main problem is, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, so I just have two, and they're both for Director Rowe, so it's good you're here. First one was a compliment that I got while I was in the park. Went for a walk, ran into somebody from Fort Saskatchewan that was actually utilizing our pool, and I just thought it would be something interesting to share with council. I did ask the question, why are you here if you are from Fort? I'm just saying, because they have a pool there, which I was kind of wondering. Now, obviously, they said they'll be excited when water slides are up and running, but the water slide was still a huge draw for them. But they actually said that they've attended in this community birthday parties, and that our facility is nicer for being able to book a birthday party in. That the staff was actually always easy to deal with anytime they've come. So I thought that was a nice compliment to hear. And they actually said for a small town, they thought our pool was completely comparable with the harbor pool in Fort. So I thought that was a nice thing to hear. And then the other was just a question. In our summer, do we have a list, or do we know when there's going to be like food trucks and that at our market, or at the Elks Park, Pasanka Park there? They were just asking, they said, we like to drive out, and we're just wondering if there happens to be food trucks. Now, I did remind them that there's many amazing restaurants in town as well, but I was just wondering, do we actually get a list of food trucks that come in the summer, or is there any such thing as a schedule like that?
So we have a list of food trucks because they have to get their annual license. We just don't know when specific days. For larger events, we usually know they're coming in, but in terms of an actual schedule, we don't have that. No.
I can bring you a little information on that. If you, for the market, let's say on Thursday night, starting June 23rd, the Pasanka Park Market through the Ag Society, you could contact them, and they would let you know what kind of food or vendors that they're expecting. Okay. So because they know on the list of who is applied for the market, and who should be coming.
Sure.
So,
okay. Yeah.
and then they could go to the website also at Ag Society or the Facebook page and try and find out some information that way.
Yeah, okay. But overall, good thing, I heard.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, it was nice.
More birthday parties from the Fort out here?
Well, I just found it kind of interesting, and I've been in the pool in Fort, but not really familiar with the rooms around it, and apparently we actually have more space for being able to rent out than they do in there. And I mean, I guess it stands to reason I've only ever kind of gone into the front, but they even said our actual pool space itself is comparable in size. So that's nice to hear, because we always fight to be comparable sometimes with the bigger centers. So it's good.
Good. Councillor Curtis, what have you been hearing? What have you been doing?
I guess I will talk about, I had a good time when we had our meeting with the Yukon Public School Board, usually at our event center there, and we were able to bring up some discussion around violence and bullying, because we've seen kind of an uptick in that recently, with, COVID being over and everybody back in social situations. And from the answers they gave, I feel like they're doing a good job as far as getting more resources in play to help this out, and I'm really stressed that they need to communicate this with parents. So hoping that will help ease some of the stress that we've had in the community as of late. That's what I got.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Riddick.
I want to say thanks to the staff for arranging the tour for council. That was a a good opportunity for us to get reacquainted with some of the facilities that we may not see as often, like the most important structures that, for example, deal with our waste and wastewater, for example, that are extremely important for operations of the town. So thank you to staff for that. Enjoyed being able to use the museum or the event center for our first event, and look forward to being able to utilize that more as a community and as council. I wanted to pass on a thank you from the Ukrainian family, who was absolutely over the moon by the donation from the town as part of the Vegreville Stands with Ukraine committee, giving the pass to the pool. That was beyond exciting for them. They were absolutely thrilled. So that was a great addition. Meeting with Minister LeBlanc last week. His deputy minister, Kelly Gillis, is the same deputy minister that we had been dealing all along with our ISIP grant funding. And they would be very interested when we're ready to be able to open the park, to be able to come. And a lot of conversation amongst all gathered at the FCM conference about the indexing or the increased cost overruns for infrastructure projects, as people across the country are having challenges being able to meet their initial proposal and then the actual cost at the end. No different than us, the cost overruns or the over projection of what it's actually going to cost. So how that looks moving forward, not sure, but that was a conversation. And then I had somebody ask about tax notices have gone out already, of course, and land titles is 3 to 4 months behind, which is going to mean that we're going to have a lot of people that are purchasing houses right now that are going to have the inappropriate tax information. And I know that the lawyers always caution people that are purchasing and selling to be aware of this, but it might be an idea. Lamont County, for example, has put out their little post warning people, reminding people that the onus is on them to be able to determine how much they're paying for taxes and to whom as the land transfer goes over. And I think that might be wise for us to consider, just because it's going to increase the number of complaints that we have from people and the amount of untangling that our department's going to have to be figuring out who owned what at what time. So if we could maybe preemptively put out some information, that might be a good idea, because land sales are through the roof, and land titles is really the delay right now, and they're not going to get any faster at this point. So just a suggestion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lemko. Oh, I would imagine when we get to the director's highlights. Okay, thank you. That's why I didn't look. I knew you'd be ready to go. Go ahead, Councillor Lemko.
Thanks, Your Worship. I have 3 items I'd like to bring up. First is I was fortunate enough to attend the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference in Regina this past weekend. And I just wanted to highlight what happened at the conference. Was the Councillor Rudick was installed as the president of this association. We're talking from coast to coast to coast, communities from hamlets, counties to big cities. And Councillor Rudick is the president of that association. So congratulations, Tanine. It's a pleasure to be there, to see you installed as the president of that organization. Next 2 items are dealing with the Stand with Ukraine. First one is I reached out from the donations committee that they're in need of tables for more. They got 3 pallets of Joe Fresh brand new clothing for women and children. And they want to sort this out and get it prepared and ready, although they don't have enough tables. So I reached out, and apparently we don't have any as a town left. I don't know if we need to buy some more or find some in a closet, but we're short of tables and we can't get any. So topic of discussion is, can we order some and have them, or can we? Yeah, they need more tables because the space is filling up. People are donating, and I believe they might have got some donations from Lamont as well. So I'm not sure. They just reached out for some more tables, and we just apparently don't have any. So.
Well, I don't think we'd have anything that aren't in use in facilities, as their facilities are being rented.
Yes, that's correct. So we have designated tables for the event center and at the social center, and we do have some big events this summer, and these tables are going to be used for an extended period of time, so.
All right, and we do have some tables, larger wooden tables at the event center, but in the big shed. Are those, do you think those are available to be used for, because really, we won't be needing them until September, so.
I don't know about these tables, but if they're set in.
If I can add, yes. In the machine shed area there are expandable set-up wooden tables. There's quite a number of them. I don't think during the summer that we need to have all those. Some of those were used with the Kingsman event, but I don't think that all of those would be needed, and I think that we could probably share some of those for a period of time until fall for their use.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Councilor Barry, I'm just making some notes here. Those expandable wooden tables are located where?
If you take from the event center where we have, and you go to the big machine shop
Yeah,
to the south,
yeah.
in the front portion of that, there are a number of tables that are wooden ones with the legs that flip out that would be perfect for them to display and sort on, that I don't think would really necessarily be used. They would not. We have tables that are in the event center, and we have tables that are in the social center that are used, that are of better quality. But those tables certainly, I think,
Something to put some stuff
yes,
on.
I certainly think that we should consider allowing them to borrow a few of those tables for the summer.
We'll go take a look.
Yeah, so we can get a few hauled over there, and I can let the committee know that we're gonna get some tables, because they want to sort that stuff and start handing it out. And the next item I have is, again, from the Stand With Ukraine Committee, an ask of council. The Pasanka Festival coming up in this July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, I believe are the dates. They'd like to hold a meet and greet for the displaced Ukrainians in the surrounding area. They're talking, there's right now about 900 displaced Ukrainians in Edmonton. There's right now 40 that committee knows of that are in Vegreville. That number is continuing to grow as we're finding now that more and more Ukrainians in Ukraine are reaching out to Vegreville and wanting to come here. So the committee's vetting and locations, and I know there's another 3 families coming this month here, and it's varied, a mother and 2 kids and that type of thing. I believe there's August, there's another family coming, and that was as of a week and a half ago, and I know from the chain of emails that number is growing. So their ask is they're looking to host a brunch or a get-together on Saturday, the first day of the festival, and at the social center for approximately 250 to 300 of displaced Ukrainians. So they can come together and they're looking for a donation of this venue, as this is an unbudgeted event. Pasanka Festival is looking to have the full event donated, so food and all that and this. So I'm asking for the Stand With Ukraine committee that we can have Hall A and the kitchen for that day, and that'd be an ask of.
Well, we'd have to see if it's booked, and then we can get back to them.
Yeah, and I do believe, Your Worship, that it's booked from the Ukrainian the Pasanka Festival. Cultural Association has booked it as a emergency. If there's rain, then the grandstand comes into there. But if they don't have to do that, then they wouldn't use it. So that's an ask. So we can have that discussion. And if it's approved, it goes to the Stand With Ukraine Committee, who then will give it to the festival. So, and that's my ask. And I must add that this committee is working. What they're doing and how they're working this, it's magic how the people are coming and how it's coming together and how they're placing people. My kudos go out to them and the tireless efforts that they are to make the job of getting those displaced people settled in our community. Kudos to them and the community for supporting them and all that. So, And that's all I got.
Thank you. Good job. I know that there's no place on this round table for me, but I'm just going to bring up something that I too was in Regina on the last week and on the weekend at the FCM, and there was a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good conversations, what's going on in this country, and most municipalities are up against the same problems and experiencing with mental health issues and everything, but we worked through a lot of stuff there, and we gained a lot of good knowledge, and moving forward, there seems like there's some answers coming on how we're going to get through with just the way we operate and trying to get to net zero, and then how the funding is going to be coming from different levels of government, and if we're not ready and have projects designed around that and around weather, the changes in the weather, and how that all looks, those are the projects, the infrastructure that's going to be funded first. So we have to start taking this all into account when we're doing this. But I did want to let everybody know, like Councillor Lemko said, that it was a very proud moment for our municipality to see one of our own standing up there in front of all the municipalities in this country and taking the pledge to go and represent them all. And she gave a speech that was very moving, and I even heckled her once, but it didn't bother her, so it worked out well. But I got up close to the stage before I did it, so.
He was cheering for Vegreville.
Yeah, I was. Anyway, it was amazing, and I know you're going to do a good job, Councillor Rudick, and we sure got a lot of slaps on the back from other municipalities that are small and recognize that somebody from a smaller municipality is dedicated and is intelligent and works hard can take on that role. So good on you.
Thanks to everybody's support.
Okay, so that's what I had to say. Next, we'll start with Director Rowe.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things to inform council. I did meet with the remote control car group this past week, and some steps moving forward. They'll be developing a business plan to present to council down the road. Flower planting has in progress, and I'm not sure if anybody else has been receiving complaints about gophers in our open spaces, but we are diligently working at gopher control right now. The paddle boat dock will be going in completed this week, and the boat's officially launched. And as everybody can see on your table, you have I picked up the Pasanka, and that is a tourism and culture and marketing communications initiative. So encourage everybody out there to go to the Pasanka, take the iconic picture holding the egg, and go inside, show them that you've posted to social media, and you'll get a sticker. Do you get a shirt too? You got to pay for the shirt. That's all I have.
Hey, Director Saskia.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I have a few things. So the Atco LED conversion is scheduled to be undertaken on June 20th, 2022, so that's when they're starting. Communication plan is being drafted to encourage public education of this project. I just heard back from Atco today. It's expected to take 4 to 5 weeks to complete. They're starting in the northwest corner of the town, and they're working east to west, which I think is wrong because they're starting north, so I would assume west to east, like that way. And what they will be using is 2 bucket trucks to complete the project. So as long as it's not on Highway 16A, they will not be using any kind of blockers or anything of that sort. They did ask for us to encourage some public education as to not park in front of a street light in the week that it seems like they're on your block, because obviously they'll need access. So that's what we have so far with that. Monthly reports to Alberta Canada Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program has been submitted. May 22 claims have the following totals. So for the ISIP grant, it's $154,818. STIP is $51,604. MSI and the town is also $51,604. So for May, it was $309,000 submission. We will have an RCD coming to council meeting on Monday. It's regarding the public library operating grant. They require, for like the grant funding, that the financials be completed by a person or firm considered acceptable by municipal council. So as you already know, historically Wild and Company does our annual audit. The library components are included in that audit, but they've also done an NTR cover letter and cover page for the library submission. So that costs additional funds and doesn't actually give any additional, like, to know that like the things are any better. So we are going to do an RCD to be presented to council on June 13th to appoint the corporate services director, myself, as an authorized preparer for the statements to be submitted to the public library branch. So they just need a council motion to approve me to submit their receipts and disbursements for them.
Keep going, sir.
Okay, we have entered into an agreement with Alberta municipalities for electricity. This program is called Power Plus and will offer fixed electricity rates similar to agreements we've already been historically in. The town is currently locked into electricity block until December 31st, 2023. So this new program will take into effect January 1st, 2024. As a reminder, our current electricity rate is like 5 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's a good one. And then just a little update on the social media posts regarding the tax notices. So there has been an influx of delays at land titles and an influx of actual house sales. So we've been a little bit prudent, made social media posts. Have you purchased a property in 2022? If you haven't received your notice, you need to email or call us. And then our tax clerk also was very ahead of the times, and she drafted letters this last week to be sent out to new owners that we know of at the new housing addresses to just let them know, hey, if you've purchased this property and you haven't received your notice, please give us a call. So that's like for ones that have happened up until now, but obviously there might be some sales in transition, so we're not like guaranteeing that we've hit everybody. And then the last thing I have is that our assessors are doing their annual property inspections right now. So we did another social media post today letting people know that if you see, they should be marked cars with marked ID badges, looking into your backyard or taking pictures of your house, it's our assessors, so.
Okay. Thank you. Next is CAO highlights.
Thank you, Your Worship. So just speaking to the updated action items list, I won't belabor it. We've crossed off a few of the projects, still have a few ongoing, including some new ones here. So the total number of projects that we've tracked since I've come on board and we've launched this initiative is 50. So that's pretty good, seeing good completion, and I'm happy with the way the tracking's going and the ability to report back on it. That's pretty much it, unless you guys have any questions about any of the specific items, but is what it is.
Anybody? Yep. Go ahead.
Just BMX park pump track. Any extra developments on that?
Yeah, that actually came up today, Councillor Bullock, so reviewed my notes on it. I'd spoken to the Director of Corporate Services, Community Services there early in May, and the contractors had said that at that time it was too wet to do the build. So we are still looking at it. There is, though, some confusion about the notion of costing. So the words we're hearing from the contractors is there's definitely a willingness and an appetite to do it, but it's not necessarily pro bono here. So we're still trying to sort that out. Yeah.
So I've talked to them, and they've been busy and stuff, but they will have a proposal for next week. Okay. So we all seen what's going on the upcoming events there. I know that I had, you know what, we don't need to keep the meeting going any longer. I will touch base everybody when it comes to the Rotary the Lobster Festival work in the bar. So right now, is there any other business of council? We do have a couple of closed session items, so I'll be looking for a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Warwa makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Councillor Curtis,